Extraordinary times as Australia orders anyone who arrives here from overseas into 2 weeks of compulsory isolation. Cruise ships banned for 30 days as the government locks down the nation's borders. No more handshakes or mass gatherings of 500 plus people, but school, uni and public transport is okay for now. All this as confirmed Australian cases near 300 after a big jump in New South Wales and Queensland. The NRL begs for a financial lifeline funded by taxpayers, fearing the virus could be catastrophic for rugby league. And US President Donald Trump given the all clear as the Queen is whisked away to safety.
This is 10 News First with Chris Bath.
The coronavirus crisis has become a rapidly moving beast. It's changing by the minute here and around the world. Let's begin with today's major development. Late this afternoon, the Prime Minister moved to lock down Australia's borders. Anyone who arrives here from overseas from midnight has no choice but to self-isolate for 14 days. The policy is indefinite and a breach will see you in trouble with the law. Amber Austin-Wright begins our coverage.
After hosting crisis talks with leaders across the nation.
Good afternoon, everyone.
The Prime Minister announced it's time to ramp up the restrictions.
There are a range of decisions that were taken today that reflect the change in where we're heading. We're going to have to get used to some more changes in the way we live our lives over the next 6 months or so.
And that now means anyone arriving here from overseas will be quarantined.
All people coming to Australia will be required, I stress, to self-isolate for 14 days.
Failure to comply could mean jail time.
So if your mate has been to Bali and they come back and they turn up at work and they're sitting next to you, well, they'll be committing an offence.
Under more strict measures introduced by the new National Cabinet, cruise ships also won't be allowed to dock for at least 30 days.
What we've seen in recent weeks is more countries having issues with the virus, and that means that the source of some of those transmissions are coming from more and more countries.
Common sense was the overarching message from the PM, particularly when it comes to keeping your distance from fellow Australians.
There's no more handshakes. We don't need to tell Australians how to get out of bed in the morning and how to put their shoes and socks on and things like that.
For now, schools not directly affected by the virus will remain open tomorrow morning.
While it may seem anti-intuitive, there is very good reasons why you would not be moving to broad-scale closures of schools. That could actually make this situation worse, not better.
There is no herd immunity. Everyone is susceptible to this virus in Australia.
The announcement continues a theme of mixed messaging by the government. Under these new changes, the Home Affairs Minister, who tested positive to the virus on Friday, would be in self-isolation. Instead, he's in hospital after spending 4 hours with the Prime Minister and Cabinet a few days before.
We are both well. Both of us were in contact with Minister Dutton 72 hours before he became symptomatic, or more than 48 hours. The risk of him being infectious at that time is extremely unlikely.
It's impossible for people to know. If you don't have symptoms, you can't predict that they're going to come. So 24, 48 hours to some extent is almost a technicality.
Apparently it's stick tight and we'll be right.
So long as Australians keep being Australians, we'll get through this together. Thank you all very much, Ta.
And Amber Austin-Wright joins me now. Amber, how will these new restrictions be enforced?
Well, Chris, as you just heard, the Prime Minister didn't rule out jail time but said these penalties will be enforced by states and territories. The Queensland Premier has already outlined what penalties people there will face if caught doing the wrong thing. A $13,000 fine for those who don't comply with self-isolation from returning overseas, and the state also intends to do random police checks. And the New South Wales Premier has also spoken a short time ago saying that police will be enforcing penalties if someone is seen at mass gatherings, but this is all newly decided on and announced, so those penalties will be discussed at a later date. But there's no telling at the moment how long these new restrictions will remain in place, Chris, as the coronavirus is a moving beast, so these measures will be reviewed with the National Cabinet now meeting once a week.
Thanks, Amber. Amber Austin right there. Charlotte Goodlett is live for us at Sydney Airport. Charlotte, the tighter border restrictions are only a few hours away. Any reaction there at the airport?
Well, Chris, it's really quite a strange mood here. As you might be able to see behind me, there's not a lot of people around, whether they've immediately taken on board the Prime Minister's announcement or whether the last few weeks of just uncertainty has really made people rethink their holiday plans. There's just not a lot of people heading through those departure gates. And to be honest, everyone who has been going through this evening have been overseas tourists. They're desperately clamouring to get home in case their country imposes a similar measure or perhaps stops travel altogether. Now, we have spoken to the airlines this afternoon. As we know, no one is exempt from this self-isolation except the airline crews. The airlines in Australia have told us that they won't have to self-isolate their crew when they arrive in Australia. Now, this afternoon, as we've been speaking to people who are coming and going, a lot of people weren't aware of these new rules. We had to tell them, and they are understandably know that it's a bit of an inconvenience, but for the most part, they understand that these are necessary measures in these unprecedented times. Have a listen to what they had to say.
It's bad, you know. The Prime Minister just copied New Zealand from yesterday. No, that was the only country, and that's good and that's sad. You know, some measure needs to be taken anyway.
And everyone's freaking out. This coronavirus is a big deal, but I think at the end of the day, panicking's not going to help anyone. And if people should just stick to what they're doing, be careful, be safe, and it's all going to blow over eventually.
New Zealand are very sensible. They've got very little virus and she's shut the country basically. How good's that?
And now our Prime Minister's done the same.
Yeah, but it took a woman to do it first, didn't it?
Now, as that man so eloquently alluded to there, New Zealand did impose this rule yesterday. From midnight tonight, no flights will be going into New Zealand without their passengers going into self-imposed quarantine. So most of the flights we've seen leaving this evening have been Air New Zealand flights, Qantas flights going over to New Zealand, and those residents are just so happy to be returning home because they will be the last lot who will not have to be going into self-isolation.
Thanks, Charlotte. Charlotte Goodlett joining us there. And among those self-isolating in New Zealand is an Australian in Wellington who's tested positive to coronavirus. Townsville man Andre Reynaud was tested by Queensland Health after returning from France, but flew to New Zealand before receiving his test result on Saturday. Reynaud was identified quickly after his Australian doctor alerted Kiwi authorities of his positive result. So what's the state of play with confirmed cases here? There's been a big jump this afternoon in New South Wales and Queensland. Health authorities don't know yet how at least 10 of those people got infected. Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia and Western Australia have also recorded rises in cases, with the nation's total almost 300. Around the world, more than 156,000 people have the virus. Almost 6,000 have died, but nearly 74,000 have recovered. Catastrophic, that's what the NRL warns a coronavirus shutdown would be for rugby league. It's pushing ahead with the season for now, despite the pandemic, but says it'll need a taxpayer-funded bailout to keep afloat.
The final day.
This is going to be good.
For football with fans as the NRL's virus lockout looms. But for now, despite the growing crisis, the league's bosses are refusing to blow the full-time whistle on season 2020.
At this stage, it's going ahead, but I can't stress enough that it changes by the hour.
To what extent, though, are you just delaying the inevitable?
Look, we're not delaying anything. We're just taking a measured approach, taking expert advice and taking it step by step.
At the moment, there is a level of anxiety amongst the players, which is natural given the circumstances.
For the New Zealand Warriors to play on, they can't go home, so they've set up camp at Kingscliff near the Gold Coast, away from their families, as radical ideas are considered to keep the comp alive.
Quarantine us all. Send us away, the whole 16 teams, and do everything we possibly can to make sure that nobody tests positive.
Controversially, the game's chairman wants a taxpayer bailout, reportedly up to $200 million.
An Australia without rugby league is not Australia. Our money will only last so long, and once it's extinguished, we are in big trouble.
Overnight, Super Rugby games were suspended, a round of Sheffield Shield cricket cancelled, adding to a long list worldwide. The NBA, NHL hockey, Premier League football, Formula One races, men's and women's tennis and cycling. still going ahead. Apart from the Olympics, it's the NBL, AFL and NRL.
There is no better sport on the planet. In fact, it might be the only sport on the planet at the moment.
No player will be forced to do anything that they don't want to do.
The chaos in our shops continued today, with more empty shelves and panic buying.
That everyone is going crazy for absolutely nothing.
I mean, people just should exercise common sense. See, the thing is, the shops are going to remain open.
But some are already closing. Apple today shut all of its stores here and worldwide, except in China. Most staff were bunkered inside, with just a few on the footpath, armed with gloves and sanitiser.
We couldn't actually enter the store, but we could come in and pick up the computer.
And other major events are falling left, right and centre. Sydney's Vivid Festival, enjoyed by 2.5 million last year, was today axed. And Anzac Day commemorations, if they go ahead at all, are set to look very different.
And particularly regarding the participation of more vulnerable Australians out of our more elderly veterans community.
A sign of unprecedented times. Daniel Sutton for 10 News First.
Governments are working to prepare Australia's health systems as the coronavirus pandemic sets in. Victoria has declared a $100 million funding boost for hospitals, with other states also ramping up their medical responses.
Medical authorities have just 2 or 3 months to scale up hospital capacity ahead of the pandemic peak. Elective surgery for 7,000 Victorians will be fast-tracked over the next few weeks, and a new hospital tower will open early, providing an extra 140 beds.
This is not just about protecting those who will fall ill to COVID-19, it's about protecting all of us, because each of us or a loved one at any moment might need that critical care within our health system.
Victoria is also stocking up on protective equipment for medical staff. 100 million gloves, 10 million masks and 1.5 million gowns have been ordered. It's part of a nationwide push to slow the spread of COVID-19.
If we don't, then our health system will simply be overrun with COVID-19 patients.
Elsewhere, Queensland will open theatres and clinics on weekends at a cost of $20 million. And New South Wales will double ICU capacity and upscale emergency departments with acute respiratory clinics. South Australia has already started bringing forward elective surgeries, and other states are expected to announce similar measures. But there are concerns it may not be enough to protect people with disabilities already at risk.
People with disabilities are worried that the health system won't prioritise their treatment and that they could well die.
In addition, there's the stress of getting basic supplies.
It's one of those family houses where there's like 3 or 4 disabled families in the house, and it's struggling. They're all struggling. We're all struggling.
Food for thought at the checkout.
If we all help out, we're fine. But if we keep doing this sort of madness, we just undermine each other.
Estelle Lewis for 10 News First.
Some breaking news now about a school in Melbourne being impacted by coronavirus. Estelle Lewis joins us live. Estelle, what's happened?
Chris, Loreto Mandeville Hall, an independent Catholic school for girls, will close to students tomorrow after a parent tested positive to COVID-19. In a note to students, the school said that it's a precautionary measure for their health and well-being. This is the 4th school in Victoria to close due to coronavirus. A student at Carey Grammar has the illness after being in contact with a teacher who got it, and there are now 3 cases at that school, which means it'll stay closed until March 20. We also learned today that Geelong Grammar will shut its doors tomorrow, bringing Term 1 to an early finish as a precautionary measure despite being virus-free. There's no word on when classes will begin again there. No doubt these won't be the only schools to shut their doors, and there could be more closure announcements to come. Chris?
Thanks, Estelle. Estelle Lewis live there. Spain has joined Italy going into full lockdown as the coronavirus continues to spread, with France likely to follow suit. It comes as Italians gave the world an insight into just what life is like in isolation.
Normally a thriving hub, this is Milan's international airport. And the streets are no different, bare and barren as Italy remains in lockdown.
No one on the streets, only supermarkets and pharmacies have been opened, and really it's a ghost town out there.
Adriano Del Monte is an Australian-born Italian living in the city, where only sanitisers are currently at work.
The social distancing is the absolute key, and it was the element that we did not enforce here early enough.
It's his warning to people back home in Australia. Otherwise, draconian measures now in place in Italy, where more than 1,400 people have died from coronavirus, might be introduced.
It's only one person at a time. You have about 5 minutes to go in and do your shopping. You have to apply sanitizer, put on some gloves, wear a mask.
But there was no masking their appreciation for the job being done by health workers. A nationwide round of applause at the stroke of midday.
And what the medical staff are doing right around the country has been absolutely inspirational.
So how are they killing time while in lockdown?
Earlier today, one of the major broadcasters in Italy actually played the entire 2006 World Cup campaign.
Which wouldn't have been good viewing for any Socceroos fans, but they're also singing to pass the time. Italian classics, an obvious favourite, while the national anthem has found new popularity, currently sitting at #1 on the charts.
Fratelli d'Italia, l'Italia se resta. We do have a strong sense of confidence that if we do all stick together and do the right thing, that we'll come out the other side better for it.
Other European countries will have to adopt the same positive approach as more head into quarantine.
La declaración del estado de alarma.
The Spanish government announced a 15-day lockdown after the death toll from the virus rose to 191. France has also closed non-essential locations. Once heaving bars are near empty. While there'll be no dancing anytime soon at the Moulin Rouge, as the curtains came down, while in Britain some are having trouble with everyday life. Long lines at supermarkets creating chaos. Once inside there was little joy as shelves lay empty, and it's all left people rather unimpressed, the Queen being one. Whisked off to Windsor, where it's understood she'll remain as the country battles to stave off the spread of coronavirus. Phoebe Bowden for 10 News First, London.
Still to come, the government information campaign separating coronavirus fact from fiction. Also, Donald Trump tested for the virus as the US extends its travel bans. A look at the psychological impacts of the virus as people are forced into isolation. And a year on, Christchurch remembers the victims of the deadly mosque attacks.
We've seen the judges face off.
Who are you and what have you done with Craig?
But 7:30 tonight, they're facing off on the dance floor.
The judges will dance with the celebrities.
Team Tristan and Team Craig, you're going down.
Let the battle begin. Bring it on, darling.
I heard Craig was going to dust off his walking frame for this one.
And
look who's back.
Courtney Act is back. But this time, she's judging the judges.
Nothing will prepare the judges for this.
Tans Dancing with the Stars, 7:30 tonight.
Well, you can now shop online at Bunnings, any time of the day, any time of the night.
Go online, select what you want, select the store you want to pick it up from, and bingo, click and collect. Just makes the whole warehouse available at your fingertips.
Shop at Bunnings, wherever you are, whenever you want.
Are you unable to work due to illness or injury? You could claim insurance as part of your super. Talk to Australia's #1 law firm today. Morris Blackburn Lawyers will maximise your claim. Call for your free super check now. It costs nothing to know where you stand.
It's the SUV that's ready for anything. With Mazda quality and safety, and now even better value. In petrol for city living, or diesel for what's beyond. New Mazda CX-8, future ready.
Whatever I wanna do, whatever I wanna do, boy, I'm rich. I'ma do what I wanna do, whatever I wanna do.
What would you do with a share in the Sunnybank Community and Sports Club $40,000 big dream giveaway? Come on down to McCulloch Street and you might just find out.
When bad weather rolls in, so does RACQ.
This year, Keith's travelled thousands of kilometres to be there when it matters most. He's supported by Josie and the team, helping our members get back in their homes and on the road fast. This storm season, know you're covered with RACQ insurance. Buy online and save.
That's made of porridge.
That's not how you make porridge.
That's how you make porridge.
It's not how you make porridge.
You can't understand me, I'm your pa. Bake.
Are you saying make or bake?
Breakfast bake.
Queensland, our Shawnee's in big trouble.
I want Shawny gone. Are you good with that?
7:30 Monday on 10.
As COVID-19 tightens its grip on the community, the federal government has rolled out a $30 million education campaign. The media blitz follows criticism about mixed messaging between state and federal authorities about how the community should deal with the virus.
Have you recently been overseas or in contact with someone with coronavirus?
They may look like colourful cartoons, but these videos could save your life.
Then, if your illness is mild, stay home, practice good hygiene and avoid anyone prone to viruses, including older people.
Clear, concise messages being beamed across the nation, aiming to slow the spread of coronavirus.
Remember to cough or sneeze into your arm or a tissue. Bin the tissue and wash your hands.
Some people might think that it's all common sense and we already know it, but that's always a dangerous assumption to make.
These television ads, part of the federal government's advertising blitz, a crucial campaign plastering public health information inside newspapers, on billboards, bus stops and radio.
I urge the Australian community to take the messaging seriously.
This is a time to get behind a national effort to tackle an international health crisis.
An effort receiving widespread praise from experts, despite suggestion from some it's too late.
We need that advertising. I'm glad it started today. I wish it had started earlier, and we need to see much more of it.
But those who have been impacted want others to not ignore important communication they may receive. One man revealing he dismissed a text message informing him he might have been exposed and was at risk because he thought it was spam.
It's easy to throw rocks from the sidelines, but the truth is that there's a lot of enormously challenging issues that are being brought together by this virus, and there isn't a playbook.
As we face an unprecedented health emergency,
be sensible, be responsible and be mindful of your fellow Australians. We are all in this together.
Calls for calm as the crisis worsens.
Together we can help stop the spread and stay healthy.
Samantha Butler for 10 News First.
To other news now, and thousands of people have paid their respects marking the anniversary of the Christchurch mosque massacre that horrified the world. Families, school groups and local residents laid flowers in front of the Al Noor Mosque. It comes exactly a year after the attack, which claimed 51 lives. A formal memorial event was cancelled because of coronavirus fears. A 20-year-old Brisbane man has been killed in a horrific crash. The motorcyclist collided with a council street sweeping truck around 10:30 last night. Paramedics responded at the scene, but he couldn't be saved. The truck driver wasn't hurt. Investigations into the crash are continuing. Joining us now with the latest on the weather is Amanda Jason. And Amanda, a tropical cyclone's headed for Norfolk Island.
Yes, Chris. In fact, it could be impacting Norfolk Island as early as tomorrow. Tropical cyclone Gretel has formed off the Queensland coast. It remains well off the coast of Mackay at present, and it's currently a Category 2 system. Now, the system is tracking in a southeasterly direction, so away from Australia's mainland, but it will be passing to the northeast of Norfolk Island tomorrow, and it could even intensify before it does. Now, elsewhere, we are going to be seeing a slight increase in swells, but it's not going to be anything too major actually impacting Australia's mainland. Meanwhile, we're still seeing some southerly winds moving up the New South Wales coast. That has led to more cool temperatures today. Showers at the moment have become quite heavy, and even with some thunderstorms around northern New South Wales. We've seen 33 millimetres of rain at Yamba. But in Sydney today, we got to a top of just 21 degrees. We made it to 28 in Brisbane, 19 in Canberra, 18 in Melbourne, 19 in Hobart, and Adelaide got to a top of 23 degrees. Now, tomorrow, we are going to continue to see rain for the eastern seaboard. Tonight, we are going to see showers, though, contracting a little further eastward over the course of tonight. That will reduce the rain for New South Wales, but we are going to see an increase for Queensland later in the week. I'll have more details for you at 5 to 6.
See you then. Thanks, Amanda. Up next, the US moves to ban travellers from the UK and Ireland. Also, the latest on the future of the Tokyo Olympics. A nightmare 15 months ends for a couple kidnapped in Africa.
We're doing Sunday with Styles. Pop superstar Harry Styles is joining us for a chat. And he's dishing the goss on his upcoming world tour. Harry Styles, 6:30 on The Sunday Project.
I did more than lose 30 kilos on the Optifast program. I've got my health and confidence back too.
With the Optifast program, you can replace 3, 2 or 1 meals a day, depending on how quickly you want to lose weight. Find your plan.
We've been robbed. Stereo, the TV.
What about Boomia?
Worth something to you? Then it's worth Amy Contents Insurance with new fraud replacement due to fire or theft. That's value, that's Amy.
Lucky you're with Amy.
When everything inside feels right, trust your instincts and go with your gut. Go with your gut.
If you, your spouse or child passes away or falls terminally ill, CommBank will pay your owner-occupied home loan for around 12 months. No fees, no sign-up. So you can focus on what really matters.
Silly possum catcher. If only he'd compared. Possums do nothing all day. You can help save you money. Ah, is this the end? No, it's just cliffhanger. It pays to compare. Search Compare the Market. Simples.
Map says go straight.
When you need to snap out of it, have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Command picture hanging strips are designed to stay on strong for all that life brings. And when it's time, they come off cleanly. Holds up to 7.2 kilos. Stays on strong, comes off clean. Command products from 3M.
Pineapple or pine berry? There's 37 frozen flavours to explore. You can mix any Fanta flavour or simply enjoy the refreshing taste of a classic frozen Coke for just $1. A little goes a long way at Macca's.
You're paying way too much for your car insurance. What's the story? My parents are with them?
Probe a little deeper. If you switch to Budget Direct, you could save hundreds.
Can't believe I said probe.
Money Magazine's best of the best. Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
If you want big savings, it's not too late to get to the Ford Plate Clearance. For great deals like a 2019 Plate Ranger XLT Auto from just $53,990 drive away. But hurry, once they're gone, they're gone.
Donald Trump has ended speculation over his health, confirming he has been tested and cleared of coronavirus. But his well-being doesn't match that of the US, with the president forced to add Britain and Ireland to the list of countries banned from entering America.
This wasn't a usual White House briefing, proving it's not immune to coronavirus measures. The media's health closely monitored, perhaps due to its close proximity to the US president.
I had my temperature taken coming into the room.
So did we.
You did? Good.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Let's compare. Do you want to compare?
After coming into contact with 3 people who tested positive following an event with Brazil's leader last week, Donald Trump finally got tested.
And I decided I should, based on the press conference yesterday. People were asking, did I take the test?
The result, Mr. President?
I don't know, whatever it takes, a day or 2 days.
Sooner, in fact. This document released by his personal doctor confirming he's in the clear after testing negative.
Was your temperature normal, Mr. President?
Totally normal.
A welcome announcement following an unprecedented one from the President. The US extending the travel ban to include the UK and Ireland starting Tuesday.
Well, if you don't have to travel, I wouldn't do it. If you don't have to travel, we want this thing to end. We don't want a lot of people getting infected. We want it to end and end as quickly as possible.
But the country is feeling the strain, particularly workers worried they won't get paid if they're forced into isolation.
We want them at home and we want them to continue to get paid. We don't want to be in a situation where they fear not getting paid during this 2-week period of time.
A new bill is being devised to ensure that's possible, but experts say it won't apply to 80% of workers. Some sports stars are doing their bit. NBA star Zion Williamson paying the wages of staff at his home court arena in New Orleans while the league is suspended.
Look at the shelves. Do you see the state of emergency?
Supermarkets are one of the few places not feeling the pinch.
Look, this is Michael Jackson bad, honey.
With people panic buying in case of emergency.
It's crazy. People have gone crazy.
We need the wine.
We need the wine. That's why we're here. We don't care about toilet paper or cleanser. We're here for the wine.
New York has taken the lead as the most virus-infected state in America, with 524 cases, up 100 in just a day. And today, city officials announced the first coronavirus death, an elderly woman with emphysema.
This is a very painful moment. This is a moment we all knew would come, but it doesn't make it any easier.
And it's only the beginning.
We're in this for the long haul. I think our best estimate is sometime in September.
Potentially a long 6 months ahead. Eamon Ashton-Atkinson for 10 News First, New York.
The Tokyo Olympics in July will go ahead as planned despite the coronavirus pandemic. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe says the world's largest sporting event will continue without problem. The Games are due to take place between July 24 and August 9. Other major global events have been called off to prevent the spread of the virus. So far, Japan has recorded more than 1,400 cases and 28 deaths. A couple kidnapped in Africa in 2018 has been found alive 15 months later. Canadian Edith Blaze and Italian Luca Tacchetto went missing while travelling through Burkina Faso. It happened in an area where armed groups with links to Al-Qaeda and ISIS are active. The couple escaped and was picked up by United Nations forces before being taken to Mali. They were in Africa for a humanitarian project. If you're a snow transport buff, Russia has a competition for you, proving Santa isn't the only decent sleigh builder on the planet. This year's event showcased home-built creations with designs inspired by Cupid's arrow, swans, cats, even aircraft. Onlookers cheered as the non-motorised sleighs headed down a slope. They're judged on presentation and downhill performance. The project is back at 6:30 tonight. Let's check in with the team to see what's on. PVO, what have you got for us?
Thanks, Barthy. Well, as we look at the best ways to try and tackle the coronavirus, which countries are setting the example that we should follow?
I sit down with solo superstar Harry Styles for a one-on-one direction interview. See what I did there? And feeling ill, isolated, fearful for the future.
Yes.
Well, welcome to my Sunday morning every single week, but we'll try and find something to brighten that up.
And I've got heaps of non-related corona stuff for you, Barthy. People getting kicked in the nuts, real highbrow stuff like that.
We'll see you at 6:30, Chris.
See you then. Thanks, guys. Still to come, the psychological impact that coronavirus is having on Australians, plus the state slashing $50 off household power bills.
Queensland, our Shawnee's in big trouble.
I want Shawnee gone. Are you good with that?
But if anyone knows how to play this game, it's Shawnee.
That's crazy.
Get ready for one hell of a week on Survivor.
What's the key to never skipping a beat? It's the Nissan Qashqai, the key to it all. Now available with 2.9% finance, plus get up to 3 years free service when you finance with Nissan.
I love that Australia has these amazing extremes. Even the harshest places have these beautiful natural surfaces. And those matte surfaces, how they respond to light, the effect that creates, it's incredible to photograph. It's the same with ColourBond Steel Matte. Strong, enduring yet subtle in its beauty.
We need to save for a bigger place.
Mm-hmm. She makes me feel like financing. Wanna finance the night away. She makes me feel like financing. Wanna finance the night away.
It feels good to set a savings goal.
Financing.
Search ANZ Financial Wellbeing.
Well, for Benson now, for classic catcher's gold. Catch it! Yes! Well held, son! Get him into the cordon!
I've seen a car go off a cliff with more grace than that, but geez, the big man has great hands.
That Make It Look Easy moment was brought to you by Sportsbet's NRL Same Game Multi. Combine your favourite markets, like South to win, into both Latrell and Tedesco to score, and you'll get bigger odds. Same Game Multi from Sportsbet.
Light and Easy is more than just a great weight loss solution. It also gives you more time to enjoy a healthier life, simply by having delicious healthy meals delivered to your home. In fact, Light and Easy have just been recognised as Australia's #1 healthy meal delivery service, scoring 5 stars for customer satisfaction as well as taste, variety and freshness. All things you'll find on their new autumn menu. So whether you want to lose weight with their new Jumpstart program or enjoy a healthier life, order from the new autumn menu today.
Imagine where you're staying on your next trip. In a hotel?
Cool. But with full service. Perhaps a stylish apartment. Or I could meet new people in a hostel. A house in the mountains would be awesome.
Explore more options with Trivago to find the perfect place for your stay. Whether it's an apartment, a house or a hotel, Trivago.
Fussy eater, super active, having a growth spurt. When kids need a vitamin boost they'll love, I trust KidSmart Vitagummies. Packed with health and nutrition to help support healthy growth and development. Immunity, thinking brains and strong bones. No matter how fussy they are, kids love KidSmart Vitagummies. Growing healthy kids.
Half price this week at Coles.
Hughesy's biggest guess.
Ben Elton!
Ben Elton's got a big problem. Find out what it is Monday.
Some breaking news now on the coronavirus. Daniel Sutton joins me at the desk. Dan, what's happened now?
Well, Chris, this is happening in the Justice Department of New South Wales, and it's all about trying to cut down on person-to-person contact. New South Wales courts have just announced that from tomorrow, all new district and Supreme Court trials that involve a jury will be postponed until further notice. Now, that doesn't affect trials already underway, but this will mean an increasing backlog within the justice system. They are also planning to use more video links from jail so that crooks and accused people don't have to come to court in person. Now, there's another big development we're following. The university has just issued a statement announcing that 6 locations on its campus right now are being intensively cleaned after a student was confirmed as having COVID-19. And such is the nature of uni life, Chris, that 80 close contacts with that student have already been identified. They're being asked to self-isolate for 2 weeks.
Just for clarity, that's Sydney University.
Sydney University,
yeah,
yes.
Great. Thanks, Dan. The coronavirus pandemic is proving an emotional challenge for many Australian families as they navigate the dangers of contagion. Psychologists are urging parents to be aware that children may grow increasingly anxious about a crisis that even adults are struggling to understand.
The signs of coronavirus anxiety are everywhere, apparent even to the youngest and most impressionable.
He gets a little bit worried about it, I know, seeing everything in the news all the time.
What happens if we get cold and if we die?
So she's disinfecting everything from her hands to her phone.
Child psychologists say they're seeing an increase in child anxiety, particularly towards the end of last week.
We're seeing children who are asking lots of questions, who are worried about the impact on them, who are worried about the impact on their grandparent.
Some parents are taking to social media, making learning the essentials fun.
This is why we all have to wash our hands.
While psychologists and schools send out materials to help explain basics in a reassuring context.
Viruses are really tiny particles.
But the flood of information should be monitored. Too much could be making younger children in particular more anxious.
Another thing that we can do for children is to encourage them to keep their brain and body busy on things that are not worrying them. So that means the reading or the in the backyard playing basketball or the gaming.
Neither are adults immune from increased levels of worry fired by the events around them.
Being out in the supermarkets, however, is stressful. It's a lot. There are people freaking out.
Political leaders say accurate information will help counteract that.
And I think that as people learn more, they will become less anxious.
More state and federal communications plans are being developed to help calm our nerves. Alan Murrell for 10 News First.
Almost 2 million households will soon have cheaper power bills, a Queensland government scheme that sees dividends from state-owned assets paid back to the community will see residents receiving $50 off their bills.
Over a total of 5 years is $250 returned back to Queenslanders on their electricity bills because we've kept our assets in public hands.
It applies to homeowners and renters. The credit will be applied to bills in the second half of this year. Time for sport now with Ros Kelly. Ros, is there any sport to report on?
Well, the sporting landscape is certainly changing very quickly, Barthy, but plenty in Australia have played on, and among the biggest codes tackling the coronavirus crisis head-on is rugby league. The NRL vow the competition will continue. Find out how as the game's bosses call for a taxpayer-funded rescue package. On the field, the Panthers muscle over the Premiers with crowds still allowed to attend. Unlike the AFLW, the Bulldogs and Fremantle playing it safe behind closed doors, but this is a match everyone should see.
Should Australian schools be shut down to help fight coronavirus? 6:30.
7:30 tonight, the judges face off on the dance floor.
The judges will dance with the celebrities.
Look who's back. Courtney Act is back. But this time, she's judging the judges. Live 7:30 tonight.
I just thought he was better than that.
Anyhow, I didn't like him. It's no good for you.
I know.
Now, are you coming for dinner?
Of course not. I'll see you soon. Love you.
Has your life been turned upside down by a road accident? Talk to Australia's #1 law firm. Morris Blackburn Lawyers will maximise your claim so you can get on with your life again. Call us now. It costs nothing to know where you stand.
Some people might push on, eager to reach the summit. But what's wrong with nearly there? The views aren't half bad. There's always a seat. And if you turn around here, you'll make it back for happy hour.
Hey, where's the quartet?
Oh, I've messed up my payroll.
Why not use Xero? It takes the complication out of paying your staff.
Beautiful.
Keep things light and airy with delicious Smith's Poppables. Thanks for sharing, finally. One pop and you're in love.
Terry Shear, Australia's leading landlord insurance specialist, can protect your property and rental income from just $1 a day.
As a first-time investor, Terry Shear provides the security I need.
Call Terry Shear or go online.
Endless nights, jet lag, oily skin? Get a Garnier mask moment. Garnier Tissue Mask, our first hydrating mask, infused with one full bottle of serum. In just one mask, replump your skin and glow. Garnier Tissue Mask by Garnier, naturally.
With AGL, get up to $150 in credits. That's $75 for gas and $75 for electricity, just for signing up your home energy with AGL online. Only available at agl.com.au.
I love my dog, my tiny baby.
Discover the new garden collection at Pandora.
The new look Ranger FX4 with unique grille, 18-inch black alloys and black sports bar Catch the special edition Ranger FX4 at your Ford dealer now.
Pineapple or pine berry? There's 37 frozen flavours to explore. You can mix any Fanta flavour or simply enjoy the refreshing taste of a classic frozen Coke for just $1. A little goes a long way at Macca's.
Queensland, our Shawnee's in big trouble.
I want Shawnee gone. Are you good with that?
7:30 Monday on 10.
Good evening. The NRL is being accused of putting money before lives in the fight against coronavirus. Not only are rugby league's bosses planning to play round 2 next week, they want taxpayers to fund their competition with a large slice of the federal government's $17 billion stimulus package.
Sports worldwide are taking every precaution against the coronavirus, suspending competitions, but for the NRL, the show must go on.
We will play round 2 and assess the situation. I can't stress enough that our game has never faced a challenge like this. We need the game to go to keep people's spirits up. And Australia without rugby league is not Australia.
The season to forge ahead despite the pandemic. Peter V'landys pleading for hundreds of millions of dollars from the federal government. NRL clubs tipped to start losing money from next weekend with no crowds.
Our money will only last so long, and once it's extinguished, we are in big trouble.
I don't like the tone that's there at the moment about, you know, we're going to have to do whatever we can and we're going to put money and profit ahead of the safety of people.
I think that they have an obligation to suspend the competition for some time.
I spent hours yesterday looking at all our accounts, and all I could see was the word catastrophe if this continues.
The Warriors were scheduled to arrive back in Auckland today after their opening round loss to Newcastle, but travel restrictions will see them stay put. Their clash next weekend against Canberra now likely to be played on the Gold Coast.
We said to the players, let's get through the week together, let's prepare you for the next round of games. We'll sit down after that game and reassess that.
Wayne Bennett believes heading to northern climates is an option.
There seems to be some science behind the fact that the hotter climate you go into, the less chance you are of picking up the virus. So if we all went Perth, Darwin, Townsville.
Bennett's side South started their season in style, pipping the Sharks 22-18. New recruit Latrell Mitchell getting a pass mark at fullback.
I was pretty happy with his performance. It's a whole different position for him and I want him to get used to that.
The Panthers sprung the first upset of the season, beating reigning premiers the Sydney Roosters 20 points to 14. Down 12-0 early, the home side stormed home.
Offload! Kick out! Yes, sir!
Precautions taken at Brookvale as Manly took on the Storm.
And there you have it. The balls are washed once they go over the fence.
Defence winning out as both sides struggled to find the try line. Michael Kane for 10 News First.
New Zealand's travel restrictions have accelerated SANZAAR's decision to suspend the Super Rugby competition. Queensland trailed the Bulls from South Africa 17-0 before the Reds laid on 6 tries to win 41-17.
Now it's O'Connor over the top. Who wants it? Alex Murphy says, I'll take it.
In the last game before the Super Rugby shutdown, the Brumbies hosted the New South Wales Waratahs, where Solomone Kata crossed for 2 first-half tries. In the A-League, Perth held tearaway leaders Sydney FC to a goalless draw. Glory keeper Liam Reddy produced fine saves before Trent Bahaja missed a big chance in stoppage time. The worldwide virus threat putting clubs on edge.
We've had such a disaster. We have to be prepared for whatever decisions are taken. And, we've got to put the health of everyone first.
Tate Russell scored his maiden goal for Western Sydney on the road at Melbourne City before Jamie McLaren levelled with a penalty kick. Simon Cox could have given the Wanderers victory if not for Curtis Good's desperate effort off the line. The AFL season is due to kick off with Thursday's Richmond-Carlton blockbuster at the MCG to be played behind closed doors. Crowds remain locked out of AFLW games. A shame because today's Bulldogs-Fremantle clash is being hailed as the best ever.
Fanless AFLW, but you can't quarantine the passion. It was last chance saloon for the young Bulldogs against the undefeated Dockers, so they hit the ground running. Ali Blackburn kicking things off in style.
And that's coast-to-coast footy. Great start, Western Bulldogs.
With die-hard fans cheering from behind bars, the Dogs were making their own noise.
From only about 5 or 10 metres out, makes no mistake.
But late in the first term, the Dockers skipper stood strong to keep things tight. Blackburn second, getting the kennel rocking.
And the goal to Ali Blackburn against the breeze.
But as bodies continued to clash, the flag favourites kept hitting the scoreboard. Huntington continued to rule the air, but right on cue, there was Laura Pugh.
Pugh with the snap. Can she respond? Kicks the goal.
When Berry goaled, it looked like the Dogs' day, before some rough stuff on the wing sparked up sharp.
It's a high ball, top of the square. What a mark.
The match was proving to be a cracker, with neither side giving an inch. The Dockers drawing first blood in the final term, courtesy of a dodging, weaving Ebony Antonio.
Ebony Antonio, what a finish.
The game had thrown up a bit of everything. Enter American Danielle Marshall, who turned a howler into an absolute corker.
She kicked it on the right, it got smothered, so she finishes on the left.
Flood quickly answered with a classy toe poke before the Dockers broke clear.
And the Fremantle Dockers might be home from here.
Freo home by 15 points and looking like the team to beat. Nick Butler for 10 News First.
And Aaron Phillips returning wasn't enough to get the Adelaide Crows home over Greater Western Sydney. The Giants winning by 5 points to make it back-to-back victories and grab second spot on the ladder. Game 3 of the NBL Grand Final series between the Sydney Kings and Perth Wildcats is underway. Perth won Game 1 in the best-of-5 series before the minor premiers squared things up at a game apiece. Crowds are locked out of the series due to coronavirus. Feeling lost at the moment with your sport cancelled due to corona concerns? Well, cat cricket is a new pastime keeping plenty entertained. Plus, it hasn't been banned yet. The rules are simple. The cat defends the box from the ball. If the ball hits the cardboard, it's a point to the owner. Bat it away, and it's a point to the cat. First to 10 points win. For boasting more than 9 lives and one very good eye, this cat batter can swat away our play of the day.
I see a World Series coming on sometime soon.
A lot of money at stake there, I think, too. Look, I think we'll make a sport out of 2 flies climbing up the wall if we have to, Barthy.
Might do at some point. Thanks, Ross. Coming up next, we'll update the top stories, and Amanda Jason has all the weather details.
Time for the good stuff. Feel Good Sunday is coming your way, 6:30.
Queensland, our Shawnee's in big trouble.
I want Shawnee gone. Are you good with that?
But if anyone knows how to play this game, it's Shawnee.
That's crazy.
Get ready for one hell of a week on Survivor.
We can help you bring your outdoors to life this autumn.
Half-barrel planter, only $19. Vegetable seedlings, just $4.50.
Where you find a competitor's lower price on the same stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%. Shop at Bunnings wherever you are, whenever you want.
When everything inside feels right, trust your instincts and go with your gut.
Oh, look! Car! Stop! No, Sergey, this one! We go home in style! Okay. Oh, hello, possums! We are meerkats! Sergey, who is this? I think it's Priscilla, Queen of Desert.
You're delirious, darlings. I'm Dame Edna, international icon, Australian national treasure, and saviour of little possums.
Meerkats! It pays to compare. Simples!
Whatever I wanna do.
Boy, I'm rich. I'ma do what I wanna do. Whatever I wanna do. I'ma do
What would you do with a share in the Sunnybank Community and Sports Club $40,000 big dream giveaway? Come on down to McCulloch Street and you might just find out.
RACQ Bank's Mortgage Saver Home Loan has a special low variable rate of 2.87% with no establishment or ongoing fees. So get outstanding value from an award-winning home lender. There's more for members with RACQ Bank.
From great memories to 7 years warranty, 2 years free servicing and now a $500 EFTPOS card, you can fit a lot in family favourite Outlander and stylish Eclipse Cross. So hurry into Mitsubishi. The time of your life starts now.
Bondi Rescue is coming up next on 10.
Tonight's top stories: travel lockdown. All international arrivals to Australia ordered to self-isolate for 14 days. Planning is underway to make it an offence to disobey. The decision comes as the number of coronavirus cases in Australia heads towards 300. Mass gatherings of more than 500 people are banned, but schools, universities and public transport remain operating for now. And the NRL has appealed to the government for financial assistance, warning the virus outbreak could have a catastrophic impact on rugby league.
Good evening. A tropical cyclone has formed off the Queensland coast. Tropical cyclone Gretel is currently a Category 2 system. Thankfully, it does remain well off the mainland, so the worst we'll see of it is some big swells. But the system is tracking towards Norfolk Island and it will be passing just to the northeast of the island tomorrow. Meanwhile, across the rest of the country, we are seeing an area of cloud over southern parts of Western Australia. This is all thanks to a cold front that's been moving through, but we are seeing quite a bit of low cloud over the New South Wales coast. Now, that's thanks to onshore winds. We have a high pressure system that's over the southeast. That's going to allow for settled conditions across Victoria and Tasmania, but it does direct quite a strong southerly flow up the New South Wales coast and even for southern parts of Queensland. So that drives in a bit of moisture. We will see the showers being quite widespread over coastal parts of New South Wales tomorrow, and even the more exposed coast for Queensland as well. But for the far southeast, we are seeing some really nice conditions. We'll get there in just a second. For Queensland tomorrow, we'll see a possible shower across Sunshine Coast and Coolangatta. Mainly, though, across the state, we are looking at dry conditions. Mackay, partly cloudy with a top of 29 degrees. 31 for Rockhampton. Hazardous surf will be the case across the southern coast of Queensland and also the northern coast of New South Wales. For Brisbane tomorrow, though, partly cloudy with a top of 27 degrees. Just the chance of a shower or two on Tuesday with a top of 27, and then dry conditions for Wednesday and Thursday with temperatures on the rise throughout the week. For New South Wales tomorrow, we're seeing showers for all of our coastal districts and the adjacent ranges. Anywhere west of that, and the conditions are looking dry. Orange, partly cloudy and 18 degrees. Tamworth hitting a top of 23. For Coffs Harbour, we'll see showers and a top of 24 degrees. And the rain could be heaviest for a period around the mid-north coast and northern parts of the Hunter. But even Sydney could see 3 to 10 millimetres. Possibly up to 15 in more localised areas. So we'll see a top of 23 degrees tomorrow, and it's just thanks to those persistent southerly winds and a lot of moisture being driven into the coastline. Tuesday, we're just seeing the chance of a shower or two through the first half of the day, but certainly a clearing trend on Tuesday with a top of 24 degrees. Then by Wednesday, it finds out 25 and conditions warm up considerably. Thursday, 28, Friday, 32. It'll be feeling like summer all over again. Now, for Victoria, we're already seeing some of those nice sunny conditions. Certainly those temperatures will be on the rise this week as well. Ballarat tomorrow seeing a top of 24 degrees, 27 for Shepparton. Melbourne, 26 degrees with sunny conditions tomorrow, then 27 degrees on Tuesday. Now, we are looking at partly cloudy conditions on Wednesday with a top of 29, but it will be windy. Those winds will be coming from the north, though, so that does cause warmer conditions. Thursday, we hit a top of 32 degrees, but that will be ahead of a cooler change, which brings those temperatures back down to 22 by Friday. For Tasmania, we could see a shower or two through the north of the state just in the first half of the day, but that will be clearing. Hobart looking dry tomorrow, 20 degrees, then 25 on Tuesday, and a bit cloudy with a top of 23 on Wednesday. South Australia, that high pressure system keeping things very settled here, dry as well.
Adelaide tomorrow, a warm top of 29 degrees and partly cloudy, reaching 33 degrees by Wednesday. On Thursday, we'll hit a top of 29 degrees, but a late cool change dropped those temperatures back down to 21 degrees by Friday. And just to recap, tomorrow for Brisbane, partly cloudy and a top of 27. Showers on the way for Sydney, 20 and partly cloudy for Canberra, sunny for Melbourne and fine for Hobart and Adelaide. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Amanda. And that is 10 News First for tonight. I'm Chris Barth. Thanks for your company. See you next weekend. Good night.